Hello everyone, it's good to see you today. Welcome back to Kids at the Group. Our Bible point for today is that we can trust God. Whenever you hear me or another leader say we can trust God, I want you to put your hands just like this, pointing towards the sky, and shout, "Trust God." Let's all do that together. We can trust God.
Trust God.
Great job, everyone. No matter what happens, God is in control. But sometimes we forget that and we decide to make things happen on our own. We do things in our own way. Here's the good news. Even when we do things our own way, God is still in control. And He will never let us down. So let's all stand up and sing a song about how you and I can trust God.
Hi everyone, I have my son Tate helping me this week. Hi everybody, I'm so thrilled to be here. Tate, remind everyone, what Bible buddy are we learning about this month?
Ray.
Who is Ray? What kind of animal?
A manta ray.
A manta ray. And Tate has a trivia question for you about manta rays.
Do they eat plants or fish?
Take your best guess now. Okay, Tate, what's the answer? What do manta rays eat?
It's tiny little things called plankton, the oceans, and fish.
If you said fish, you were right. I have a question for you too. Sometimes manta rays swim in groups. Is a group of manta rays called a squadron or a school? Take your best guess now. Tate, can you give the answer? What's a group of manta rays called?
A squadron.
A squadron. If you said squadron, you were right. Let's learn more about manta rays now.
Hello, I'm Ray, and I'm a giant manta ray. Even though manta rays are pretty big, we're also pretty chill. And don't worry about that tail, it's not a stinger. That would be on my cousin, the stingray. Giant manta rays are also related to sharks. But trust me, I'm not tricky or dangerous. I just like to glide through my days without much fuss. You might hang out with your friends? Well, I float around with mine. Sometimes my friends and I eat together in a group called a squadron. As we swim, My friends and I use fancy fins near our mouths to scoop up little tiny snacks called zooplankton. Just eating on the go. In the Bible, you can read about two brothers who got into a fight over food and a prayer of blessing. One brother even tricked his dad. He pretended to be the other brother and gave his dad a special meal. I'd never pretend to be one of my relatives. No way. Have you ever been stung by a family member? Maybe your feelings were hurt when a brother didn't want to play with you. Or you were really mad when your sister took your last piece of birthday cake. No, that was for you. Even when people don't get along, you can trust God and know that He's in control. In the Bible book of Psalms, chapter 33, verse 4, it says, "For the word of the Lord holds true, and we can trust everything He does." When people are mean, you don't need to take matters into your own hands. Instead, you can trust God. God is in control. So, take a deep breath and glide away from arguments or disagreements. God will help you. We can trust God.
Trust God.
Remember, everyone, the Bible is God's true story of love for us. It was originally written in 3 languages, but now today, it's been written in hundreds of languages so that people all around the world can understand it. We are memorizing Psalm 33, verse 4 this month. Don't forget to come to church and grab a craft package that has your sticker inside to help you remember. Let's practice it now. Repeat after me. For the word of the Lord holds true, and we can trust everything He does. Remember, we can trust God.
Trust God.
Even when life is messy, we can trust He has a plan.
In today's Bible story, we'll hear about a mother and son who forced their way to make things happen the way that they wanted it to be. Let's see if you and I can force something to get what we want. I have here a piece of tissue and just a cup. To show you what it looks like to try to force something that's not in our control, I'm going to try to throw this tissue and get it inside that cup. Let's see what happens. When things feel up in the air, we want to take control over it. We're tempted to take matters into our own hands. I want you to pause this video and answer this question to the people watching. What area in your life do you wish you had more control over? For me, I really wish that this whole pandemic would end so that I get to see you once again, that we get to all hang out together, play some games, and do all the fun things that we do here at Kids Have to Grow. That's something that I really wish is just seeing each and every single one of you and seeing all the smiles and all the joy that you bring to us. So go ahead and pause the video and answer that question.
When we take matters into our own hands, we can end up ruining things, like relationships. That's what happened to Jacob and Rebecca in today's Bible story. Let's dive in. Instead of just listening, I want you guys to actually help me and play a part in today's Bible story, okay? So you can actually find this story all the way in the book of Genesis. That's the very first book in the Bible. This story is about siblings, a younger brother and an older brother. So if you're the oldest sibling in your family, I want you to be Esau, okay? In Bible times, older siblings like you usually got a blessing. That means they got all the good stuff. So if you're Esau, if you're the oldest sibling in your family, I want you to hold out your hands like this, cup your hands like this, and I want you to have a big grin on your face and act like you just got the biggest blessing in the whole world. So hold your hands out like this, Just pretend you have a blessing, okay? So when we cup our hands like this represents an inheritance. So an inheritance is the blessings and the money that we'll get from our family someday, if we're the oldest. Younger siblings, younger brothers, younger sisters, they were cool and all, but they didn't get an inheritance or a blessing like the older brothers did, the older siblings did. So if you're the youngest in your family, I'm sorry. I have nothing for you. I don't have a gift for you. And it's not super fair that the older brother got all the gifts, all the inheritance, and you didn't, but that's just the way it was in those days. The parents' names were Isaac and Rebekah, and they had twin boys. But the thing was, these boys always struggled to get along. Just like sometimes in our families, we struggle to get along with our siblings, and it can be very hard to play together or just be nice to each other, but sometimes it's just difficult. And it's the exact same way with Jacob and Esau. So let's check it out. We're going to read from the Bible, and it's going to be from Genesis chapter 25, verse 22 to 23. Let's take a look. But the two children struggled with each other in her womb. So she went to ask the Lord about it. Why is this happening to me? She asked. And the Lord told Rebekah, the sons in your womb will become two nations. From the very beginning, the two nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and your older son will serve your younger son. Usually, it will be the younger sibling who will serve the older sibling. But God told Isaac and Rebekah that the opposite was going to happen. So, if you're the youngest sibling in your family, or just younger in general, I want you guys to stand up. Good, good. All right, guys, you can sit back down. God often works in ways we don't expect or can't control. But no matter what, we can trust God.
Trust God.
The boys didn't get along when they were kids, but let's fast forward to when they were older. So at this point, Isaac was a lot older too, and he couldn't see well. One day, Isaac sent Esau to get some food from hunting and to make him a meal. And as soon as he'd get back, Isaac was going to give Esau a blessing. Esau said that at once. So if you're an Esau, if you're the oldest sibling in your family, I want you guys to stand up and I want you guys to march in place like this. Good, good, good. Cool. Meanwhile, Rebekah had overheard Isaac's words, and she decided that she was going to help Jacob, the younger son, get the blessing. So if you're a Jacob, if you're the youngest sibling in your family, I want you to rub your hands together like this, like you're scheming, like you're planning something. Good, 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 good. So even though Esau and Jacob were siblings, they looked nothing alike. Because Esau was covered in hair, just hair everywhere, and then Jacob had smooth skin. Rebekah and Jacob whispered so that Isaac couldn't hear. They whispered just like this. Now let's see what they were talking about. Now, son, listen to me. Do exactly as I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me 2 fine young goats. I'll use them to prepare your father's favorite dish. Then take the food to your father so he can eat it and bless you before he dies. Rebekah cooked up 2 goats and fixed up Isaac's favorite meal. Jacob put goat hide on his arms and his neck so that he'd feel like Esau. If you're a Jacob, I want you guys just to rub your body like you're hairy like this. Good, good. And then he also put on one of Esau's stinky old robes so he'd smell like Esau too. P.U. I want you guys to do the same thing, okay? So I want you guys to pretend that you're smelling one of Esau's stinky old robes. So just hold your nose like this and just say, ah, P.U. That's stinky. Yeah. Good, good. Jacob took the meal and he gave it to his dad, Isaac. And Isaac asked, is this Esau? And then Jacob said, sure. But the thing was, Jacob's decision was going to really drive the 2 brothers apart. If you're a Jacob, I want you to take 2 steps away from the Esau's, okay? Good. Isaac put his hands on Jacob's arms and then his neck. He said. Well, you definitely feel like Esau. And then he smelled Jacob. Well, you definitely smell like Esau too. Stinky. And you brought me the food, so you must be Esau. Hey, here's your blessing. And that's how the younger son got the blessing that the older son should have got. When Esau got back from hunting, he brought the food to his father. But when he got back, Esau and Isaac discovered what really happened. The truth. Jacob had tricked them both, and he stole Esau's blessing. Let's read what happened. But Isaac asked Esau, "Who are you?" Esau replied, "It's your son, your firstborn son, Esau." Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably and said, "Then who just served me wild game? I've already eaten it, and I blessed him before you even came. And yes, that blessing must stand." When Esau heard his father's words, he let out a loud and bitter cry. "Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too," he begged. But Isaac said, "Your brother was here, and he tricked me. He has taken away your blessing." Esau was hurt and furious. So if you're an Esau, I want you to stand up, and I want you to stomp your feet like this, like you're really mad. Jacob was out of there. Rebekah had sent him to live with one of her brothers. So if you're a Jacob, stand up, and I want you to run like this. Run like this, like you're running away from Esau. Good. All right, you can sit down. It's tiring. Whew. Esau hoped that he'd get a chance one day to get even sooner or later. So he decided to watch and wait for Jacob, and then one day he was going to get back at him. What a cliffhanger, right? I want you guys to make your best cliffhanger noise, like something like dun dun da, like that. Let's do it. Dun dun da, dun dun da. What a crazy cliffhanger. But we're going to have to wait to figure out what happens next, okay, guys? All right, guys, thank you so much for helping me tell this story. You guys were great Esau's and great Jacobs. Yikes. That family was a mess. Lying, scheming, stealing. But the thing is, God's in charge of everything. But sometimes, just like Jacob and Rebekah, we can try and make things happen ourselves and try and take things into our own hands. But whenever we do that, we can just cause even more struggling and more hurt feelings. I want you guys to pause the video and talk about a time your friends and family struggle to get along. Thanks for sharing, guys. Even though this family struggled, God was still in control. And God has plans for our families too. The thing is, with Jacob and Esau, their story wasn't over yet. And our story isn't over yet either. Sometimes we might forget God and try and make things happen with our own power. But we don't have to do that. God still loves us, He's in control, and we can trust God.
Trust God.
Blessings are like prayers. When you bless someone, you're asking God to watch over and take care over that person. We can trust God.
Trust God.
You can bless people by asking for God's blessing into their lives. Let's explore the blessing that Isaac prayed over Jacob. It says in Genesis chapter 27, verses 27 to 29, "So Jacob went over and kissed him. And when Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he was finally convinced, and he blessed his son. He said, 'Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the outdoors, which the Lord has blessed. From the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvests of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed.'" Isaac prayed for good land, power, and leadership, and for people to like his son Jacob. We can bless and pray for other people as well. So I want you to grab an index card and something to write with. I want you to think about a person that you would want to bless. It could be your parents, could be your siblings, your grandparents, or a friend. On the front of the index card, or on one side, I want you to write the name of that person. I wrote the name of my friend, Ronald. You know Ronald, he usually plays games with us. On the back side of your index card, I want you to write 3 things that you want to ask God to bless that person with. For me, I wrote down good health, good studying, and for Coach Ronald to have a fun time with his friends whenever they hang out. So go ahead and pause this video and write down 3 things that you would want to bless that person with. After you've done that, I want you to pause and just pray to God to bless that person the 3 things that you have asked God to bless him with.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Craft Time. Today we're going to make a cool craft using popsicle sticks, like this, and markers. We're going to make craft stick families. So before we get started, make sure to pause this video and grab those things right now. Alright, so now that you've got all your materials, all you need to do is just draw all your family members on different popsicle sticks. So I have 2 big sisters, my mom and my dad in my family. So I need 5 popsicle sticks, which I have right here. Now I'm just going to draw my mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters on my popsicle sticks. So now I've finished drawing all my family members. I have my mom, my dad, me, and my 2 sisters. So now let me ask you, who's in your family? Maybe like me, you have 2 big sisters, or maybe you have 1 big brother, or 2 little brothers. Go around and talk to the people around you and show them your popsicle sticks. Show them who your family is. Family and friends are great, but the thing is, sometimes they don't always get along. Today, we learned about a family in the Bible who ended up hurting each other. But the good thing is, we can trust God.
Trust God.
To help with our relationships, with our friends, and with our family.
You know, we don't have to be like Jacob and Rebecca. We don't have to do things our own way. Jesus is with us. He is in control. So I want to read you something about our friend Jesus. As you listen, I want you to put your hands just like this, like you're waiting for someone to hold your hand as you cross the street, and close your eyes. We can trust God because He is in control. Imagine you're standing next to a busy street. Cars flash by in both directions, horns blaring. There's no crosswalk or stoplight, and you've got to get across. Now imagine you can't see. Who would you trust to lead you into and across those 4 lanes of traffic? For sure, nobody careless, distracted, or who didn't like you. It would have to be someone you trusted enough to put your life in his or her hands. Well, that's Jesus. He's not careless or distracted, and he not only likes you, he loves you. You can't see what's coming at you in your life, but he can. The question is whether you trust him enough to do what he says to do and go where he says to go. Will you give Jesus control? Our Bible memory buddy Ray reminds us that we can trust God.
Trust God.
Remember to use the memory verse stickers that you've received so that you can remember that we can trust God.
Trust God.
Before we end, I just want to close in prayer. So let's put our left hand and our right hand together, close our eyes, and bow our heads. Dear Jesus, we thank you that you are in control of our lives. We thank you that even though we feel scared, and that even though there are scary things happening around us, you are in control, and you are always there to guide us, to protect us, and to keep us safe. We want to ask for forgiveness for doing things our own way, and now we just want to say that we would give you all control over our lives, and we want you to lead us into the path that you want us to be in. We thank you so much for your love, for your mercy, for your forgiveness, and for your grace towards us. We love you so much. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you had a lot of fun doing the different activities and listening to our Bible story. We'll see you once again next week. Bye.
See you guys next time. time. Bye!